Definition of argument. An argument consists a statement or a finite collection of statements called hypothesis and a statement called conclusion. Validity of argument. The argument is valid whenever hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3 to hypothesis n are true. Then C is a tautology. And an argument is valid if hypothesis 1 and hypothesis 2 and hypothesis 3 and to hypothesis n implies to conclusion is an implication. Truth table. Truth table is a mathematical table used in logic which sets out the truth values of the logical expression on their functional argument. The table below shows relation between negation, conjunction, disjunction, conditional and biconditional to statement P and statement Q. To determine whether an argument is valid or not, we use a truth table. Example 1. Using the truth table, determine whether the following argument is valid. Example 1a. P implies Q and P implies to Q. In this question, there are two statements which is statement P and statement Q. First of all, we break the truth table. Then for statement P, fill with true, true, false, false arrangement in the column. Meanwhile, for statement Q, fill with true, false arrangement. Next, determine the truth value for P implies Q. True implies true is true. True implies false is false. False implies to true is true and false implies to false is true. Next, determine the truth value for P implies Q and P. True and true is true and true and false is false. Finally, we determine for P implies Q and P implies to Q. True implies true is true. False implies false is true. False implies to true is true and false implies to false is true. Since P implies Q and P implies to Q is a tautology, the argument is valid. Example 1b. Q implies R and R implies Q and negation P implies Q. In this question, there are three statements which is P, Q and R. For statement P, fill with true, 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 false, 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 false in column. For statement Q, fill with true, true, false, false, true, true, false, false in column. Meanwhile, for statement R, fill with true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false in column. First, fill P implies R. Then, fill R implies Q. Next step, fill for negation of P. Then, fill P implies R and R implies Q. Next, P implies to R and R implies Q and negation of P. Lastly, P implies R and R implies Q and negation of P implies to Q. For this argument, the truth value is not a tautology. Therefore, the argument is invalid.
Now I will be explaining the true value of the arguments. First of all, the definition of true value of the arguments. The true value of the arguments refers to whether the statements are true or false based on the given premises and the rules of logical inference. It's an assessment of the validity or soundness of the argument. For example, this question I have two premises. The first premise is P and neg Q, which is true, and the second premise is P implies Q implies R, which is also true, but the conclusion nego R is false. From the conclusion nego R is false, then R is true. From premise 1, P and nego Q is true. Therefore, P is true and Q is false. In this topic, we will be constructing the truth value based on the given truth value on the statement. In order to determine the truth for the statement Ali goes to school, we need to analyze the given conditional statement. The statement given is if Ali goes to school, then his mother will give him some money. We will assign P for Ali goes to school and Q for his mother will give him some money. The symbol given is P implies Q. The truth value, given that P implies Q is false, then the combination of true to false implies false will give us the false statement for the conditional statement. So, the statement Ali goes to school is a true statement. Another example, each of the following statement is false. If Anissa does her artwork, then Amina will get to sweep the trash. Amina does not sweep the trash if and only if Adiba does her artwork. A. Anissa does her artwork, and B. Adiba does her artwork. Let's look at the first solution. For A, Anissa does her artwork. The statement given is if Anissa does her artwork, then Amina will get to sweep the trash. We will assign P for Anissa does her artwork and Q for Amina will get to sweep the trash. The symbol given is P implies Q. The true value, given that P implies Q is false, then the combination of true to false will give us the false statement for the conditional statement. So, the statement Anissa does her artwork is a true statement. Next, for the second solution, B. Adiba does her artwork. The statement is Amina does not sweep the trash if and only if Adiba does her artwork. We will assign neg Q for Amina does not sweep the trash and R for Adiba does her artwork. The symbol given is neg Q by conditional R. True value, given that neg Q by conditional R is false, then the combination of true by conditional false or false by conditional true will give us the false statement. Therefore, neg Q is true. So, the statement Adiba does her artwork is a false statement.
Definition rules of inference. Mathematical proof using rule of inference must begin with writing on the hypothesis, then justified by some rules on inference at each step, and the proving process continues until the conclusion has arrived. Validity rules of inference. Proving the validity of argument using truth table is found to be ineffective if the argument involves many primary propositions. One effective method can be used to prove the validity of an argument is by rules of inference. Rules of inference. There's 10 rules of inference. First, modus ponens. Second, syllogism. Third, modus tollens. 4. Conjunction. 5. Syllogism disjunctive. 6. Contradiction. 7. Simplification. 8. Addition. 9. Contrapositive. And the last one is implication. Example 3. Use the rules of inference to show that the following argument are valid. As you all can see here, for question A is a P and Q implication R, and the result is P and R. For the first step, we should declare for the first premise such as P and Q is premise 1, Q implication to R is premise 2. And then what next step we should do is we refer to the rules of inference table to to solve the question, such as for the third step is 1 premise 1 implication, so that it will be the nego P implication to Q. And for the step 4 is the number 3 and 2 is syllogism, which is it will be nego P implication to R. And the step 5 is the number 4 implication. Implication is add the nego to P and change implication symbol to to O. And for the last step is double negation. Double negation, remove the double negation. That's it. For the second question is P implication Q implication R, and the result is R. For the first step, we declare the premise 1, premise 2, and premise 3 based on the question. And then what we should do is we refer to the rules of inference table and find what method that's suitable we use to solve the question. For the second question, I use 2 and 3 for method syllogism, and the result shown only S. And for the last step is number 4 and 1 for modus ponens, and the result shown R. Thank you.
Next, I will explain about the example 4. Consider the following argument. For the hypothesis 1, if Fatin and Anita go to the reunion party, then Anita is not going to ballet class. Second hypothesis, if Fatin does not go to the aerobic class, then Anita will go to the ballet class. And the conclusion is Fatin does not go to the aerobic class. For the question 1, write the primary proposition using the variable P, Q, R, and S. For the question 2, write all the hypotheses or premise using the variable in A. And for the third is use the rule of inference to find the conclusion of the argument. For the question 1, there is want to write the primary proposition. The first for the primary for E, T, for Fatin go to the reunion party, Q, Anita go to the reunion party, R, Anita go to the ballet class, and S, Fatin go to the aerobic class. For the second question, there is want to write the hypothesis and premise. For the premise 1, P and Q implies nego to R, premise 2, nego S imply to R, and premise 3 is nego S. For the question 3, the question want to use the rules of inference to find the conclusion argument. For the argument, first, P and Q implies to nego R is the premise 1, 2 is nego S implies to R is premise 2, 3 is nego S is the premise 3, 4 is R is the 2 and 3 modus ponens, 5 is nego P and Q is from the 1 and 4 is use the modus tollens, 6 is nego P and nego S use the De Morgan law. For the conclusion, an argument consists hypothesis and a conclusion. Argument is valid whenever hypotheses are true, then conclusion is a tautology. 3. The true value of the argument refers to whether the statements are true or false, and the last one is one offensive method that can be used to prove the validity of an argument is by the rules of inference.